Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 192 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 192 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I hope that you will stay for a very long time. And if you've been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep. Thank you so much for supporting me on the journey. I wouldn't be here without you. And I, of course, want you to stay for even longer. And I want you to bring a friend. Before we get into this week's episode, I want to make sure that we set the foundation. I'm sure, as you guys know, it is very important to me that we create this safe space, this house, on two very important tenets, and that is clarity and love. Clarity is really straightforward. I just want to make sure that you understand that I created the Well Done Life brand because I believe that women are the foundation of society and that we need places and spaces where we can be our most authentic self. I'm talking about I want us to laugh, I want us to cry, I want us to be inspired, I want us to learn from each other, I want us to work and collaborate together. I really truly believe that there are more things that unite us versus separate us, and it's really about the power of standing in our truths and our stories. So that's what we do here. I share my experiences and spotlight other women so that hopefully you'll see that there is a place for your voice as well. Your story is so important. Like I said, you have no idea who can be inspired by you, who can be saved by you, because yes, our mistakes, if we stand in them, can help someone else not have the same pitfalls that we had. So I hope that you feel safe and loved in this environment because that's what this is about. And we are here to share, care, and grow together. And then that leads me right into my second tenet, my favorite tenet or favorite foundation, and that's love. I'm a sucker for love, and I believe in love in everything that we do. And so one of the things that I like to do to make sure that I show you love every week is I like to send you prayers. I'm really a strong believer in the power of two or more coming together in prayer. I really think that our prayers are amplified. And with everything kind of going on in the world, I feel like it's even more important now that we take moments to pray for each other. So this week, I am sending you prayers of peace. I'm always sending prayers of peace because peace is what I feel like we need, especially now. But I'm sending you prayers of peace in the sense that if there's anything that you're going through, anything that you're feeling within your body and your spirit and your mind that is vexing you, I hope that you will be able to find a way to come back to center, find a way to come back to God, come back to yourself, and recognize that this season that you're in will pass. All things do come to an end. I mean, we do have to remember that nothing is forever. It seems like it when we're in the midst of our storms, but they are going to come to pass. So stand in it with the knowledge that this too will pass and that you are equipped to be able to walk through your circumstances, that you are equipped to be able to learn from this mistake and never repeat it. Our mistakes don't define us unless we let them. They are things that shape us into being better people. And that's what we have to remember. Every mistake is an opportunity for a setup and a greater situation. It doesn't necessarily have to be a setback. So I'm hoping that you will give yourself the grace necessary to realize that, yes, you may be in a season right now, but you deserve peace. And so I hope that you will give yourself peace this week in your spirit, in your heart, in your soul, because that is where the other side is. It is rooted in your peace. So I really want you to make sure that you give yourself the strength to be able to find that. And then along with that prayer of peace, I'm also sending you, of course, prayers of love. I want you to be surrounded in love. You know, there are so many things that kind of, again, vex our soul right now. You just can't help but be vexed if you watch the news and just trying to navigate through life. And so I really hope that you will value the people around you who you love, the ones who just make you feel at peace and comfortable, the ones who have space for you. And you want to make sure that you just give yourself that energy back in because you need it. And make time to love on other folks. You know, I'm not going to pretend we're all busy. Child, I'm in the middle of getting ready to launch my first event. I'm busy. But I'm also learning that I need to kind of slow down and show love to the people who love me, because there's always going to be room and space to me for them, because time isn't infinite. So I don't ever want a moment to waste. So find time to be able to show love so that you can receive the love that you deserve. And along that line, of course, I'm always going to pray, that you have clarity. I want you to have clarity around you. I want you to be able to see situations and people for exactly who they are. Like clarity, and especially in moments like this, are so important because you have to be able to see through the crap. You really do. Like, you have to be able to see through the BS. You have to be able to see through the lies. You have to be inquisitive. You have to be able to research. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you really have to be able to be clear about everything around you, because in clarity, there is peace. In clarity, there is strength. In clarity, there is knowledge, and knowledge is power. Don't get so overwhelmed, so lulled that you don't ever want things to be clear because you just don't feel like you can handle them. God doesn't give us anything that we cannot bear. So believe me, there's a lot that you can handle. You might not be giving yourself the credit for it, but you can handle it. So please make sure that you stay clear about what is going on around you, the people, the places, the things, everything that you are consuming. Stay clear, because that is going to help guide you through your seasons. And so those are my prayers for you this week. I am recording on Tuesday, July the 16th at 9:46 p.m. I want to thank everyone for their grace last week. Yes, I took a quick little I took a little girls trip adventure over to Tampa to spend some time with some friends and get loved on, because I haven't been loved on by them in a while, and we haven't loved on each other that way. And it was just cool to kind of just vibe out. And so I didn't get a chance to record because life was doing its thing, but I am here and I am so excited to be back. And we are talking about the reset. Yes. And for those of you that don't know, the Reset is my upcoming event that I'm going to be hosting on August the 24th at the Wave Lake Nona Hotel. And the Reset is a one-day intimate experience that I have created for women. It is a space that we are going to create transformative, actionable change in 4 key areas. And those areas are mental health, physical health, financial health, and building community. And I have curated a lineup of speakers, a lot from the local area, who are thought leaders and influencers in all of those categories, as well as I'm also very excited to welcome Yasmin Cheyenne, author of The Sugar Jar and Wisdom of the Path, as our opening speaker under mental health. I am so honored to have her kick off this event, and I am looking forward to working with all of these ladies to put together an event that is going to create actionable change in 60 days or more in the course of everyone's life. So I really hope that everyone will take this as my personal invitation. I promise you, when I put this together, like I've mentioned before, it is truly curated out of a part of my heart based upon the season of my life that I have been in, because I've struggled in all of those areas. So this is about not gatekeeping. This is about creating an intimate space where everyone can get actionable change created. They can get resources. You can get loved on. The Wave Lake Nona Hotel is gorgeous. So the aesthetics will be right. The food will be right. You will be taken care of. And I promise the swag will be right. I like good swag. So let me tell y'all, I like good swag. You will not be disappointed. So I definitely will make sure that I link the welldonereset.com in the show notes so that you can check it out, learn more about all of these amazing ladies, and get your ticket, because I need to see you. I need to meet you, and I want to talk to you one-on-one. So come on. Nothing beats a quick trip to Orlando, or if you're already in Orlando, just drive on over to Lake Nona and come and hang out with me, because I cannot wait to meet you. But this week's episode is kind of helping kick off something that I kind of wanted to do. I know this is like a little different, but I wanted to do it because I really want you guys to understand the power of the women that I have brought together for this event. And so I am really excited that I got a chance to have Dr. Z Compass Collective on my podcast again. Yes, she's been here before. I'm going to link her previous episode in the show notes. But Z, as she is affectionately known, is one of the coolest ladies I know, and she is the founder and creator of Compass Collective, which is a virtual bookstore that she has created, as well as she also creates activations within the community for people to connect over books and conversation and healing. And I have had the pleasure of actually attending one of her events. Her event actually with Alex L. was the first time that I got a chance to meet her. And I was so impacted by the amount of energy, positive energy that was created in that room with Alex, and so much intention and healing that I was like, gosh, I want to create this as well. And so I wanted her to be a part of my event because she is just such a change agent and she is such a powerful community builder. And so I'm hopeful that she will inspire more people to come out into the community and help create change, help create healing, to be a part of the community, because I know that not everybody's going to start off leading, but everybody at some point in time needs assistance building community. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a little snippet taste of what you guys can expect when you come to the reset. So we had a quick conversation because we hadn't had a chance to chat in a while. So if you will sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea, water, wine, whatever floats your boat, Z will be with you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, I am good. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me again.
Oh my gosh, this is like an honor for me because your energy always makes me feel better. And so it's just so good to have you here. So thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me and talk to everyone again. So yes, you're going to be at the reset. And yes, I've got you pulling double duty with mental health as well as with building community. So I want the audience to kind of get a chance to know you. So why don't you introduce yourself and we'll start there and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, that sounds good. Like you said, everyone calls me Z. All my friends call me Z, so please call me Z.
Yeah.
I am the visionary founder behind Compass Collective Books, which is an independent book store and a book community. And the community is where I really kind of lean into it, because really at the core of Compass Collective Books, we are heavy on nurturing community, nurturing connection, and nurturing healing. So we're heavy on those three things. And yeah, prior to opening Compass Collective Books, I worked as an optometrist for a little bit over a decade. And I feel like those three sort of core values were part of my practice as a physician. Those were things that were very, very important to me. And I am definitely in that sort of generation of folks that had the great pandemic pivot. And during the pivot of the pandemic, I sort of had the time to listen to my intuition and decided to sort of nurture the seed that I had. And that's sort of where Compass Collective Books was born from. And so I'm out here in the thick of second career, in the thick of unlearning and relearning. But listen, so happy to be doing it. So grateful to be doing it.
Oh, yes. And guys, she does it extremely, extremely well. I'm also going to put your social information down there for everyone to see, as well as the site. But the way that you curate content in regards to books and how it relates to different areas of our life is always just such a beautiful thought to me. And I guess kind of kicking it off, obviously we're talking about mental health and building community. How have books been foundational for you in creating that type of space?
That's a great question. What we consume is so important. Not only what we consume when it comes to the content of books, but what are we consuming when we're in relationship with folks? Are we consuming their projections? What are we consuming from the news, from media, from social media, from our books? So that aspect of what is the content that we are consuming is something that I really focus on in trying to make sure that what we are consuming is not going to be harmful to our headspace, but rather be a source of support, be a source that kind of nurtures a healthy mind, body, spirit. That's one aspect of how I feel books are so important. They can be a portal into really important, insightful, purposeful work and theories that are going to be, again, nurturing to that mind space. The other thing that I focus on, because I feel like oftentimes people think when they encounter Compass Collective, they're like, oh, so you're only self-help, you're only personal growth. And I'm always like, oh no, people sleep on fiction, but there's a lot of healing that can be had from reading a fiction, because sometimes we need a moment of escapism.
Yes.
Sometimes we need to dig deep into a memoir. Memoirs are one of my favorite genres because there's nothing like learning from someone else's lived experience. It's incredibly powerful. And I think a great tool in honing empathy. But the second branch of where I kind of lean into how books can be helpful is, so there's what we're consuming, and then it's how are we consuming it. So if I can share a little personal story.
Sure. Absolutely.
When I first started my healing journey in true sort of perfectionist tendencies, I had a to-do list. And I knew, okay, I need to do X amount of minutes of meditation, X amount of, reading or exercise or whatnot. So I sat down to meditate. And I think I've shared this story with you. And it went terribly. It was awful because my body was not used to, I was so ingrained in like hustle culture. I didn't know how to sit. I didn't know how to sit with discomfort. I didn't know how to do any of that. But what I did discover was, okay, it's not accessible to me. I can't meditate for 20 minutes right now. I can sit and read a devotional in the morning for 3 minutes. And during that 3 minutes, I can feel my feet on the ground. I can feel myself in the seat. I can unclench my jaw. And so for me, that was sort of my gateway into my own healing. That was sort of the portal, was using that as a practice. So that's what I try and tell folks now. Yes, what we're reading is important, but even just the act of doing it can be so powerful if we let it, if we kind of lean into it.
Oh, no, totally agree with you. And I was going to ask you, is that kind of where you found your desire to build community? Like, how did you decide that that was what you wanted to do?
You have so many good questions. Oh, I just love them. That's such a great one. So it's funny with the community aspect. I read, spoiler alert, I read something in a book from Thich Nhat Hanh. So Thich Nhat Hanh he was a Vietnamese monk, peace activist, poet, author. And I've always been a fan of his work, especially once I started doing this healing work. And at one point I read, he said, if you cannot find community and you have truly tried and you just don't feel like there's a place where you feel safe and supported and held in community, at some point, if that doesn't exist, then it becomes your responsibility to become the facilitator of that. And it always stuck with me because I definitely had those moments where community just felt so elusive to me. It seemed like this sort of almost like a buzzword. You hear this community, but I didn't really feel like it was within my reach. And then I realized that community it can be calling someone up and going for a walk. That you can be the facilitator of that, of kind of starting to make those connections and those interpersonal relationships. And then once I really felt it and was for me, when I am in true community, I really do feel that it's a judgment-free space, and I really do feel safe, which is important. I think that for anyone that's doing vulnerable work, to really show up and to feel safe in a space where you don't know anyone. It can be a
Right.
little bit jarring at first, but then when you experience it, there's really nothing like it, and it really is very powerful. So yes, that is something that I preach and try to cultivate quite a bit.
Oh no, and and it was beautiful because the fact that you said that makes me think like again, it's all of our responsibility in those moments where we have struggled because we've all struggled with trying to find community to realize that community starts within us. And
Mhm.
so I'm very excited that you said that, and I look forward to exploring it more at the reset because I think for women in particular, and you definitely let me know, your thoughts. I feel like it's not it's hard to build community because a lot of times we obviously have hurts from previous efforts, or we are just overwhelmed with different things that we're doing, that sometimes we just get so tunnel vision that we forget about the power of building community with each other. And so I think that we have to always remember we're that catalyst when we can't find it. And I think in those instances, I know for myself, I never thought that I was comfortable being socially awkward and sitting in my house with a blankie. But then I realized that I need that other aspect of community. Would you agree?
I would. And listen, I mean, COVID was a really horrible time for so many folks, right?
Mhm.
We lost so many people during that time, of course. The lifestyle changes that came along with COVID, I didn't hate them. I was like,
Okay.
oh, okay, it's the four of us chilling at the crib. I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
So yes, it's uncomfortable, right? That's where the growth happens,
Hmm.
is when it is uncomfortable. So even having that awareness, and then it's almost sometimes with community, you don't even realize that you're missing it until you experience it.
True.
You don't
Pretty true.
even realize, because there are times where you are going, for many of us, especially for women, we are going to, oftentimes we are responsible for pouring into ourselves. We know this now, right? We're learning this. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to prioritize ourselves. And we're still learning. We're still learning how to do that. And there are going to be times where we don't have the capacity to do that. And I'm telling you, that's when you feel your community pour into you when you cannot pour into yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And to me, that's the hardest part because you want it so bad in those seasons where you're going through, but trying to find the words. Like, I know for myself, I lost my brother recently, and I'm very lucky I have community around me that understands when I get quiet. They try to pursue it. But when
Mhm.
I lost my words, like I didn't have the ability to ask for it or the energy. And you're
Mm.
right. I want it, but it's just like I'm really struggling how to say it and how to come up with just like a smoke signal to let you know, like, hey, I'm drowning. I need it. And you just become. I know for myself, I would become afraid and withdrawn, and it shortchanges us when we're in those situations.
Mhm.
So I think then kind of obviously knowing how passionate you are about community. And obviously, again, we're going to dive into so much more at the event. But if you were to say one thing that, I have two more questions, one thing that you have learned about the power of community in your life and how it's impacted you, what would that be?
One thing I have learned, we live in a culture that, especially now, we're living in wild times, historic times. Things may be getting kind of wild, right? We
Oh,
know
yeah.
this. We know that we're entering a time um, that sort of thrives off of pitting us against one another, kind of thrives on competition. And it can be easy to get lost in that when it's sort of embedded into our culture in ways that we don't even realize sometimes. So that's the biggest thing I've learned, is collaboration and support is always going to, in my opinion, in my experience, is always going to feel better, is always going to end better, is always going to feel aligned when it's collaboration over competition.
Mm.
So that's one thing that I've learned from community and from being in community with folks that are steadfast in staying clear and staying aligned with love, which is why I appreciate you and your work so much.
Well, thank you. I'm a strong believer. That's why I think I gravitate towards you too so much. And because it's no competition. It literally is about realizing there's enough space for all of us, because I do not want to be everything to everybody. I can't be. you know, I don't have that strength. But hey, if my little bit of shine works and your shine works and somebody else is healed, great things have happened,
Yes, yes.
Yes, I totally agree. I love that always about you. And then my final question for you, well, actually, I have two more, one more after this. My final question for you is for someone who's coming to the event or on the fence about the event, because, it's new, everybody's the inaugural event and everybody's trying to figure out what they're going to get out of it. What is one thing that you want people to take away from about building community based upon how our segments are all going to go?
There's actually two things that come up for me. The first one is I know that for some folks, it may seem difficult and it may seem intimidating, but I think the intention that you've poured into making this intimate is going to really allow us to connect. We're going to be able to connect as a group, as individuals. And when you are in that space of feeling held, really, it's a sense of feeling like I got you and I'm going to support you. I think that is going to be the big takeaway, because this is what's often sometimes something that I struggle with, right? Like you read something that's wonderful. You listen to a podcast and it really makes you think, right? And that was maybe 20 minutes of your day. And then you go back into life and it's just whoosh, and you just kind of forget about it. So I think it's the aspect of these things, like these sort of retreats and events like this that again are so intentional. We're not going to walk away, whether you're a panelist, whether you're the curator, whether you're behind the scenes, whether you're, a vendor that just happens to be there. We're all going to take and absorb something from this event and take it with us. It's not something, I don't feel it's something that's going to be like, we're going to forget. Like it's going to be something that sort of leaves a stamp. So I think that's really important, because that's something that just, it's part of, I think, of modern times. It's just there's so much information, there's so much stimulation.
Yeah.
I think that's something that is a huge pro, and that folks should really consider that, because it is sometimes difficult to implement.
Yes.
So that would be the second thing, something that I talk about this a lot. I don't want a work life, a home life, a spiritual life, a mom life. I just want a life that is whole and that is integrated and that is harmonious. And so I think that's a big key for the event too. I would say that would be my key word, is going to be integration. How do we take those little snippets of our day and integrate it into something whole?
And thank you, because I have to admit, I was inspired. Part of my inspiration to do the reset was the event that I went to with you. And that was, for everybody, I've shared it before, but how I met Z was at an event that she held in St. Petersburg for Alex L. And it was such an intimate event, but everybody was so connected. It was beautiful. The connectivity, and it was men and women, all of us committed to one thing. That one thing was learning and a healing,
Mm-hmm.
and actually supporting each other, because we wound up, really kind of connecting. Even though we didn't really know each other, we still were there to support. And so having that type of energy is so important to me, because I know that I walked away changed that day. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the goal for me, of every panelist and every person at the reset. I want you to walk away, at least, even if it's just one thing, you've got to walk out different than when you came in, because then you'll take that difference and you'll create something, and then somebody else creates something. And that's how energy and synergies grow, and healing comes and community comes. So yes, definitely. So thank you. Because for you
Absolutely.
to say that to me helps remind me that this is why I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
And it's a beautiful thing to see you walk in your purpose. It really is.
Thank you. It's a beautiful thing to see you as well. So I'm just very excited about what we're going to do. And so my final thing is, what's coming on? Like, what are you working on currently? Like, obviously, I know the reset's coming up and we'll talk more there about everything, but is there anything that we can support and do right now?
Right now, something that I am really passionate about, I've learned that there are so many authors and folks out there that are doing really, really important work, especially, from marginalized communities, from underrepresented communities. That's where I've been putting a lot of my energy into, is uplifting and championing um, those authors and that work. There's a lot of, the mainstream publishing offers a lot of support to certain groups, and that's sort of, again, where I'm leading into, is groups that are, and authors and stories that are just beautiful, and it's going to be really impactful, but they just need a little bit more
Yeah.
visibility.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll definitely be seeing a little bit of that. So just more, more storytelling, more healing centered things and events. But yeah, I'm really excited to, be at the reset. It's going to be really interesting. It's a full circle moment a little bit for me, because the keynote speaker, Yasmin
Yes.
Cheyenne,
Yes.
her book, The Sugar Jar, was, so Compass Collective Books, we do a virtual book club. It's been a couple years now, and her book, The Sugar Jar, was the first book
First book. I remember that.
of the book club, the first inaugural book of that. And we did a Zoom with Yasmin, and it was just so, gosh, it was so nurturing and really educational and really practical.
Yes.
I think that's one thing. The Sugar Jar is a really practical book of how to, exercise boundaries without making them barriers. I think that's
Right.
something that I, really took away from that. And so
Yes.
to be with Yasmin in person and to moderate with her, I'm so looking forward to that. Her second book, I will mention, The Wisdom of the Path,
Yes.
is our book club for August. So next month, it's July right now. The Wisdom of the Path, Yasmin's second book, is actually going to be our August pick. So I'm just really excited, to
Me
kind
too.
of round out with an in-person event.
Yes, I am excited about that too. And everyone who's in attendance will get a copy of Yasmin's book, Wisdom of the Path, as well as a part of their admission. So I'm really excited to have everybody in the space have that book, because that's real-time work, real-time discussions that can happen,
And it's
So
beautiful.
yes, I'm very excited about that. So I want to thank you for giving me some time. I mean, I know schedules get crazy, but I wanted to at least let everyone get a taste of your energy. Z is amazing. You are amazing. So I'm just so grateful, and for all the support, all the encouragement that you have offered me and that you continue to offer. So I'm just very excited to have you, and I will make sure I have all of her information in the show notes, and you can meet her. Come to the reset and on August the 24th at the Wave Lake Nona Hotel. And so I'll have all the information there for the reset as well. But I really, again, want to thank you for your time and everything. And I really appreciate it. And I'm so looking forward to seeing you. I can't wait to give you a big hug.
I know, same. This was such a
Yeah.
pleasure. It's
Thank you.
always such an honor to be a guest on the podcast and now to be, at an event. I'm so humbled and I'm so excited. I can't wait to see everyone in person. Like you said, yeah, big hugs all around and can't
Absolutely.
wait to see everyone.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So, guys, that's this week's episode. I'm going to make sure, like I said, I have everything in the show notes as well as information for you to purchase your ticket because you don't want to miss it. As you can hear, we've got a lot of healing work to do, but in such a beautiful way. And so I hope this weekend that you are taking care of yourselves and each other, be nurturing, and I will talk to you guys again soon. And thank you so much. And I appreciate it, Z. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.